watching SKST Radio.
Well, welcome to another episode of SKST Radio, and you tune into the Cammie Grayson Show, and today is Small Business Networking, and we have a new friend. He goes by the name of Jeffrey, and he is into taxes. Hey, Jeffrey, welcome to the show.
How are you? Happy Saturday.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So we want people to know who you are and what you do for a living.
All right. Well, very simply, I'm a tax guy. Plain and simple. I've been a tax guy for more than 40 years. I grew up with it. My dad was a tax guy. I learned how to do it once I was like 14, 15 years old. Nobody could understand his handwriting, so I used to take what he wrote on a paper and put it on the form because back then there was no computers. Mm-hmm. So everything was manual. So I've been doing it ever since. So we prepare tax returns. Our firm, which is called SFS Tax and Accounting Services, does bookkeeping and payroll and all that. But our ultimate is the tax return. We do all types: corporate, S Corp, C Corps, partnerships, trusts, estates, everything. But my super specialty, as we call my superpower, is through the Tax Relief Company. The Tax Relief Company is a company that helps people who are in tax problems with the IRS or the state. And we help them get collection information, how to pay them off. If you heard offer and compromises, we've done audits, all that type of stuff against the IRS. I'm an enrolled agent, which is a federally licensed tax practitioner. Like CPAs, we have the same rights as CPAs and attorneys before the IRS, except they're licensed by the state. I'm licensed by the U.S. Department of the Treasury.
Wow. So is it safe to say it's good to have a person like you in the back pocket, because we might need them? You never know with the IRS these days, right?
Well, I am biased, so I think an enrolled because all enrolled agents do taxes, whether they prepare a return and representation like yours truly, or they just do returns or just do representation. But we do something in taxes as an enrolled agent. CPAs and attorneys, they're generalists, and then they can specialize in tax. 100% of my continuing education is in federal tax.
Wow.
So I'm a tax person first, an accountant second. They're the opposite. But we have the same rights. We have the same qualifications. There's good EAs and bad EAs. There's good CPAs and bad CPAs. You just got to interview the person.
Right. So this is busy season. I can't even talk. This is busy season for you.
Well, we just finished.
We finished
on April 18th. Now we're following all the returns that people couldn't get us the information on time, and now we're in extension season.
Okay.
So things are a little slower right now. We're doing returns, and I'm doing a lot of representation cases now, because the IRS is starting to send out notices full force, the most since the pandemic. So I'm doing a lot of that. And then comes September and October, when there's the next due dates for businesses and individuals come due, I'll get busy all over again.
Oh, wow. So it never stops, huh?
No, we're here year round. Our firm works between 70, 75 hours a week during tax season, then we wind down. We try to stay to the 40-hour work week if we have to. There are deadlines, obviously. I try not to let my staff work that much overtime afterwards. I do when I have to. Mm-hmm. But we're on top of everything.
Wow. Okay, so speaking of taxes and things like that, I mean, what are the horrible nightmares with all this theft, the identity theft? How are you guys helping to make that not happen?
Well, we can't make it not happen directly. What a good tax preparer does is that they have, as required by our license and through the IRS, we have to follow something called Circular 230. Circular 230 are rules that the IRS set forth, and they are accepted by the courts And one of the sections is to protect taxpayer identity and their papers. For example, we're not allowed to leave files open on our desk. We have to have them in locked drawers. So in my firm's case, we are basically paperless. Client comes in, we scan it, we put it to a secure server, and the paper goes back to the client. So it's not, if anybody breaks into my office, they won't see tax stuff around. So that's where we can prevent it. My job, I as long as I do that, I do the best I can. But most of the time, I hear it after the fact, and people steal their identities and use it on tax returns just by getting somebody's social security number and date of birth. So I usually hear it on the back end, but there are procedures that have to be followed that I'm very adverse in, and I help the client go through that process, and then we get them an identity theft PIN. Now, the IRS does have a program that any taxpayer, whether they're subject to the identity theft or not, can get one of these PINs. They just have to go into irs.gov. They get one of these PINs, and as long as it's on the once you get that PIN, it has to be on the return when you electronically file it. So that's another wall that we put up for these crooks.
Wow. So now are they cracking down on this, or is this really helping a lot, or is it just still in development stages?
Well, they're pushing it down. In other words, they're pushing it down to the taxpayer and to the preparers to make sure that we have enough firewall, security backup, cybersecurity. Remember, even the best security analysts and the cybersecurity companies are always a step behind. So like when you get Norton's, they give you these updates, or if you have any other, secure virus package, they do these updates, but it's only because something already happened.
Gotcha.
So it's an impossible fight. We just do as much as we can. We do not send anything with somebody's social security number or a bank account number through email. Everything's through a secure server. So this way we protect it, and that's the best we can do.
Wow. So have you figured out that at the end of the day, you're working for everyone, you're tired, you're exhausted, and when is your time now? So you say you're around. So when do you get a break?
Okay. My time is I try not to work on weekends.
Okay.
I love reading. I'm a voracious reader, whether it's novels. I like historical fiction. I love reading about sports. I am a sports nut. I am a Yankee fan, as you are. I have my little Yankee thing here. I've been a Yankee fan since the early 60s. And I can't wait for 4:00 Eastern time when they're on again against the Reds, excuse me, this afternoon. So I'll be watching that. But I love to read. I love music. I love the 70s. Country music is a big thing for me.
Okay.
So that's what I use to relax. When I get even though I have to come home at say 10:30 from being in the office at 7, I'll lay down in bed, turn on my laptop or my iPad and my tablet, and I'll just either read a novel. I read books on the tablet. I don't carry books around. So I can read any book so much easier. I don't have to carry it. It's on my little tablet. It's almost like a Kindle, but a little bit bigger. And that's what I do. I just relax by reading. My wife and I do TV shows. We're in the ball, watching the shows. So just we have our 2 dogs. We have a husky and a border collie, and we just keep living on them. We have a new grandchild. Well, he's not 2. He'll be 2 years old in August, but we have a new one coming up. Whose time is in November. So we'll have 2 grandchildren. So that keeps us busy. We take the older one now once a month for a weekend to give my daughter and her husband some time off themselves, but it gives us an excuse to take care of the baby and spoil him rotten and give him back.
Oh my goodness. So tell us a little bit about Crypto Tax Academy.
All right. The Crypto Tax Academy was an organization that they were part of another tax prep franchise.
Okay.
And the 2 owners decided to get into the tax side of cryptology. virtual currency at its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
When that started coming around, I read about him. I followed this guy, and I decided they developed a program, a 9-module program that you take classes, you pass tests, and that's what I did. And because crypto at that time was just at its forefront, it was about 6 years ago, and some people were asking me, do you know anything about crypto? I knew the basic. I had to know more because people weren't just buying and selling. There's airdrops and conversions
Yes.
and hard forks and soft forks. But now we have NFTs. We have all these other things. The mining was a big thing. That was the first instance I ever heard of it. Somebody came into me as a referral and said, do you know anything about mining? I said, well, yeah, natural resources. What?
Yeah, right.
We're talking about crypto mining. No, well, he walked out the door and piqued my interest, and I always like to learn, so that's what I did.
Wow.
So now I have a couple of clients that are into mining, and I have a lot of clients that play around with crypto.
Wow. Well, tell us about mining. What is it exactly?
Mining is, I'm not going to get into the real technical end of it, but what mining does is when an issue wants to change their the blockchain, it's called. And a blockchain, just think of it like an atom. And then they add things to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the mining creates or solves unique and very hard mathematical equations. And it takes a lot of high power. So it's not like you can turn on your Dell and get into mining.
Mm-hmm.
These machines are super powerful. They have to be in cold rooms, just like the old servers used to be, the old mainframes, similar to that. That's how much power it takes.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a completely world unto itself, as opposed to where you invest in crypto. It's like trading property. Mining is a trade of business. You make commissions based on solving these equations. And if it's accepted, you get commissions on it in crypto. And you just keep solving these equations that you want to solve, and you earn your money that way.
Wow. So when you're doing people's taxes, that has all this crypto, how do you turn that into currency? I mean, is it
that's the easy part, because crypto itself, if you have, say, 1 Bitcoin and you sell it, it's no different than selling 1 share. So let's use, instead of the word Bitcoin, or use Ethereum or Doge or anything like that, just use the word share.
okay?
So now you have 1 share. Well, how much is 1 share worth on the open market? That's how you convert it.
Nice.
So it is pretty simple about the conversion. And nowadays, especially if you use what we call the exchanges, like Coinbase, and there's many others, that they provide you that information too. So it's almost like a broker.
Yeah.
And even the IRS is now starting to require, it hasn't fully passed yet, that these exchanges provide things similar to like you get from a financial house, like TD Waterhouse and Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and all that.
Wow. So let me ask you this: does the AI
Artificial
computer
intelligence?
yes, does that affect you guys at all?
Not from a, well, it affects us from a superfluous way, from an outside way. We can write articles a lot easier and things like that. From the tax standpoint, no. Are they trying to get AI into the tax prep system? I've read things about it, but if you've read the news, there is so much controversy with AI about security. They're worried about taxpayer identity. So I'm not so sure how soon that's going to come into play, but I've been surprised before.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. You think about it.
Yes, it's kind of scary.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I have another one. Now, I filed taxes. Well, my preparers filed my taxes back in 2021. And I recently received my federal taxes. Recently received it, but I have not yet received my state return. So what do I do? I mean, it's been since 2021. So it's been a while, and so I asked her to check on it recently, and she goes another 10 weeks. So is there a way we can speed that process up? Why is it taking so long?
No, you're at the beholden of a government. Same thing with the IRS. Um, First of all, the one thing is you mail a return in as opposed to electronically file it. That adds, first of all, an amended return takes a while to begin with.
Okay.
And we're not talking about a couple of weeks. We're talking about anywhere from 10 to 20 weeks. Then if it's a mailed return, double it. That's for the IRS. Now, the states has to wait a lot of times for the IRS to approve it before they do, because the starting point on most state returns is the federal adjusted gross income.
Wow.
So when you file a return, you usually have to attach, if it's paper, attach a copy of the federal. So if your preparer did it right, and which I'm sure she did, because you would have got a notice saying, where's the federal return? They like to see what you changed.
Okay.
And it gets looked at. Well, when something comes in, sits on a pile and it's manually looked at. And the states have even more of a problem with employees than the IRS does, because they have less of a budget.
Oh, gotcha.
So there's nothing you can do other than, like with the IRS, for example, I can pull transcripts. It depends upon if the state has transcripts. So you can ask your preparer, can you get me a copy of my state transcript from Virginia?
Okay.
They may have, like Michigan, for example, does not. New York does. So you just have to bide your time. And most, I don't know 100% about Virginia, but like with the IRS, from the date that the money should have been in your hands, which is basically the date you filed the return, is when interest accrues on your part. So you have interest income. So as opposed to the other way around, right? If you owed money, you would have to pay them.
Yeah,
interest.
exactly.
Same thing. So it's almost like putting it into a savings account, probably even more than a savings account, because you can't spend it.
Right.
Think of it as a CD.
It's about to say, well, I guess I stopped worrying about it now since it's drawing interest.
Right. But if she said she called, if she said she looked, there's nothing you can do about it.
That's all she can do. Yeah.
That's all she
Because,
can
I was
do.
just trying to put a fire under to see,
No, that doesn't.
if it's something else.
If you're dealing with a non-tax issue, a non-tax return issue, like if you owed money and you want to pay it off, and then you have somebody specific you can talk to, and there's avenues to put fires under their butt. When it comes to tax return processing, nothing. It's procedure, it's protocol. It just goes through.
It's so weird though, Jeffrey, because I received my 2022. It's like, okay, where's 2021?
Because it wasn't an amended return, and it was electronically filed, I'm presuming.
No.
You mailed in your return?
No. It was electronically done.
Yeah, that's another reason. Because once it hits the file, it's not looked at right away. It's processed through the computer. If you owe money, they take it out. If you do money, they deposit into your account. If you do direct deposit, it's like that.
Yeah.
You mailed it a return, so now you have mail time. Then you have it going from their PO box to whatever department it goes to. Then it has to be assigned. Then it has to be looked at. Then it has to be approved. Then it has to be processed for refunds. Then it has to be approved. I'm up to 9 things already, and I'm not even finished.
Wow. Okay, so Jeffrey, tell people how they can get in contact with you.
Well, we have 2 ways. There's the phone number there. It's 877-355-8010. I'm located physically in Stuart, Florida. I handle clients all around the country. I file tax returns in all 50 states. The only state I don't do, it's not even a state, is Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So I do every state that has an income tax. There are 9 states that don't, though they have other types of taxes. You can get in touch with me if you have an IRS problem. That's the tax relief company, and you can go to www.thetaxreliefco.com. Tax and accounting, is SFS, as in Sam Frank Sam, taxacct.com. And that phone number is 1-772-337-1040, just like the form.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So I'll get that information for you guys and post it on his YouTube, on this interview on YouTube, so that way you can have easy access to it as well. And we're going to make it happen. And so, words of wisdom, Jeffrey.
Words
So
of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
In related to tax situation, if you're looking to change your preparer, do your research. You can interview them. I'm interviewed all the time as much as I interview the client. I don't take every client, and not every client comes to me. I do have a 98% closing rate when they come to me because they've already looked it up. They've already seen me on Google. They've already went to my reviews. So you do the same thing for any preparer you want to go to. If you have a tax problem, you see on the screen there, it says CTRS. That stands for Certified Tax Resolution Specialist. That's another certification I have that's specifically for taxpayers in trouble. Make sure the person that you're talking to has experience in that. Not every tax preparer does resolution work.
Oh, wow. That's good to know. That's good to know. Well, Jeffrey, I appreciate you being on the show. I want you to come back. Whenever you got some good, juicy something to share with our audience, we would love to have you and make it happen.
Anytime you need me.
Sounds good. Okay, guys, that wraps up the show today. Check Jeffrey out. There's his information. And again, we'll post it again on our YouTube so you can get those addresses and numbers that he put out there for us. And until next week, SKST Radio. Tell them bye, Jeffrey.
Bye-bye. Have a good rest of your weekend, folks.
You too.